I saw Morbius, which is the highest grossing movie. It made $300 more billion. It's a movie that's loved by fans and critics, and even got love from the very known director Martin Scorsese. Morbius is... No, I can't. I mean, sure, I find the hashtag morbiussweep memes funny, but I'm not gonna make up a history of how much I loved it. But I'm gonna talk about the movie, and I'm going to go in depth on what's wrong with the film, talk about from scene to scene, what's happened from the beginning, the middle, and the end. So this will be a spoiler, so get ready. But I don't think you will keep, because this movie is not that good. The movie stars Michael Morbius, played by Jared Leto, who does not have a well-track record when it comes to taking roles in superhero films. He goes to a place somewhere in South America, and he scars himself and gets bitten by vampires. When I saw this scene for the first time, I thought, wow, they already start with this scene. But nothing happens here. Nothing special happens here. From trailers, you think this is the moment in which he gets his powers, but no, he doesn't. You can take out this scene entirely from the film and it wouldn't impact the movie. I think this scene was probably just used to have on trailers because it looks cool somehow. And then they cut to Morbius in his young days, in which we see him being smart. He meets Milo, who has the same disease as him, and we do not ever get to know what this disease is. We just know it's something that gives some form of paralysis. Milo has some problems and Morbius helps him somehow, and this scene is shown to illustrate how smart Morbius is. Milo then meets some bullies and he tries to defend himself, but he gets beaten up. And then Jared Harris character goes and defends Milo. And this scene is to establish some kind of motive for Milo, why he hates others or people in general. Then they suddenly cut to a Nobel Prize award, and it seems that Morbius gets a Nobel Prize for peace, I think. But apparently he did not take the prize, which is confusing. I think why was he there in the award show? And did he go up, take the award, make a speech, or did he just go up and then went away? This is a bit trollish and it's confusing. Morbius then talks to his love interest about something. I don't remember what it was. Then he meets this young girl who does not have any importance later in the film. Then we cut to Morbius meeting Milo, who is played by Matt Smith. They seem to be good friends and they talk about The Notebook, which is a movie that has better editing and pacing than this film. Then we cut to Morbius' lab and he somehow got vampires from South America to this big cage of glass. And Morbius tries to get a cure, and this cure that he makes, it seems that it does not work since we see rats or vampire die. I should talk about the pacing, which I would describe is rushed and boring. The scenes does not last long, it just lasts for some minutes, and it's so much to take in, so it's hard to it's hard time to get the whole picture of what's happening or to make up pieces. But the thing is, the movie is also boring. The characters are not interesting. The dialogue is uninteresting. So the pacing is rushed but also boring. Then we cut to Morbius being in a boat somewhere in the ocean with some mercenaries. Morbius finally makes a cure that turns him to a vampire. Then we cut to Morbius killing some mercenaries and taking their blood, We see this slow motion, fast pacing effect similar to 300, but in this it's just shitty CGI. And since it's a PG-13 movie, these scenes are not really scary. It's dark, it's hard to make up what's happening. And we do not really care about these mercenaries either. We see Morbius being bulk, and this was the moment in which Jared Leto did not have to go to bathroom with crutches. But somehow after Morbius finds out that he killed these mercenaries, he somehow swam or something back to mainland. I think this ability gives Morbius super swimming also. Then we cut to investigation done by Tyrese and Al Madrigal, who play some uninteresting officers that did not really have backstory. Morbius tests out his abilities, and in which vampires appreciate him, and he tests this zoner thing, jumps, trains, but also tests how long he can resist without blood. Then Milo, for some reason, goes to Morbius' lab, and he sees that Morbius needs help. He helps Morbius and gives him blood. Also, every time Morbius drinks blood, it seems like a video game, since this is what he does.
Forcing us to watch him go to town on a blood bag every few minutes of screen time.
There's no change on how he drinks the blood. We see Milo also wanting to become a vampire, but Morbius says this is not a cure, it's a curse or something like that. Yeah, it's a cliche. Then we cut to a nurse being killed by someone, and we're supposed to think it's Morbius, but we'll get to that. Then police does the investigation and thinks that Morbius was the one who kills this nurse. Then they go to Morbius as they suspect him. Morbius then tries to flee, and we again see this badly slow motion, fast-paced, horrible CGI. And Morbius gets to the roof, but there's some wind that's affecting Morbius, and somehow Tyrese quickly got up from the stairs. Then we cut to interrogation, and Morbius says this line.
I'm starting to get hungry. You don't want to see me when I'm hungry.
Then Milo meets Morbius in his cell, and we learn that Milo tried to study to become a lawyer. Milo brings some blood to Morbius, and here it is revealed that Milo also has become a vampire, and Milo was the one who killed the nurse. This is where, since we never see Milo taking the cure to become a vampire, so there's that thing happened off screen, which is I think not good. Morbius escapes from his prison, and Milo reads Daily Bugle. They gotta have their Spider-Man Easter egg. And Milo, for no reason, kills this salesperson. I mean, he wasn't bad. He is not like the bullies from the before. Then we get to a horrible fight scene between Morbius and Milo, but also some dialogue in which Milo wants Morbius to embrace his powers. And then we get this scene in which Morbius reacts to the train, and then Morbius.
Fly!
I'll say though that Matt Smith is probably the best part of the movie, since he's having fun with the role, and he probably knows that the movie is horrible, so he's just trying to have a good time. Had no problem to be campy. And then here, this is where the movie gets really boring. There's almost nothing interesting that's happening, and the thing is, 50 minutes has gone, and I didn't notice that 50 minutes had gone, but it was rushed scenes and boring things that happened before, but in this part here it goes, and from here the movie gets very slow. It's really slow pace and there's nothing interesting happening. We cut to a meeting between Morbius and this woman who is Morbius' love interest, and Morbius follows some thug to their hideout and takes their hideout. I don't get how can Morbius, does he even have his tools to work? And then we get to this iconic scene. But he does not say this.
I'm just kidding. It's Dr. Michael Morbius at your...
And when we get to this iconic scene, he tries to compete with the likes of Bully Maguire and Joker, and this is unintentional hilarity. Then we get to Milo going to a club and get in conflict with some persons, and then we get to Milo jumping down and supposedly killing these persons. Jared Harrod then sees the news and sees a footage of Milo. Jared then confronts Milo and we get the cliche, you only care about Morbius, you never care about me, you loved him more, and Milo slashes Jared Harris. And then Morbius then goes to Jared Harris and Jared explains what's happened and Jared dies. We also in the before time sees Morbius doing a cure for this vampire thing ability. Then we also get the intimate moment between Morbius and his girlfriend. Then we cut to Milo having a talk with Morbius' girlfriend and then slashing her. Morbius then drinks her blood or also bites him. We also learn that Milo just wants Morbius to accept his vampire power. But I don't get the things he did. Why did he have to kill the one close to Morbius? And also, they were not horrible people, so why? And then we get another horrible fight scene between Morbius and Milo. It's hard to make out what's happening. It's just two balls clashing with each other. Morbius gets beaten up, and then we get to the underground. And Morbius calls some vampires and we see Morbius using some vampire bending to beat Milo. And then he supposedly dies. And then we get one of the most rushed ending. We see Morbius' girlfriend becomes a vampire, Morbius flies off, and then some other scenes, and then cut to ending. I know one person has already talked about this, but this ending, it's 1 minute long. And so much happens in this 1 minute, and you don't have a good conclusion for how things end. After that, we get one of the most horrible after credits scenes in which some reasons Vulture transports to Morbius dimension. And why take one likable characters and put them in this horrible universe? And wasn't it like that other characters went to Spider-Man's universe, and why do other characters from that universe transport to other universe? I don't get it. It just makes a bigger mess, and this is just a build up to a movie with that will probably not happen. Then Adrian builds his Vulture suit, which I don't get how, because he used some metal from the Avengers fight scene, and he says this badly written line.
I'm not sure how I got here. Has to do with Spider-Man, I think. I'm still figuring this place out, but I think a bunch of guys like us should team up. Could do some good.
And this is how it ends. It sets up for a Morbius Vulture team up that will probably not happen. And that's Morbius. It has some scenes of unintentional hilarity, but that's just some scenes. You don't have to see the movie to watch those scenes. Morbius is a boring and rushed film with uninteresting characters and some horribly written lines and horrible effects. The acting is fine, but the standout was Matt Smith. As a whole, Morbius is a boring mess. And yeah, that's what I thought of the film. Thanks for watching, and remember to be grateful for what you have.